One of my 2025 predictions has finally come true as Porter has teamed up with BMO to launch two new credit cards. With over $700 of free travel attached, are these two cards worth really adding to your wallet? Stay tuned to find out. Hey guys, welcome back to the CreditVerse channel. If you're new here, my name is Alion, and if you're a returning viewer wondering why we haven't really been posting over the last couple of months super consistently, I'm on an exchange term in Denmark and I've been traveling around quite a bit recording a couple of different kinds of videos. You'll see those over the next coming months, but I haven't really had a chance to sit down and do these like face-to-face videos, but you'll be seeing more of that as well in the next couple of months. Instead of just going over a quick overview of the cards, talking about the earn rate, the bonus, and some of the perks, we'll also really dive deep on how you can maximize this card's offer and if it's really worth picking up for you. We'll assign a value to VI Porter points and talk you guys through some of the redemptions you can make and the value you'll be getting out of them. Alrighty, let's start off with the welcome bonus, which is just a certain number of points you earn for spending a certain amount of money over a certain period of time when getting a new credit card. For the basic entry, the VI Porter Mastercard, you get to up to 40,000 VI Porter points. There are 10,000 points when you spend $3,000 on the card within the first 110 days, 15,000 more when you spend $6,000 on the card within the first 180 days, as well as an additional 15,000 points when you spend $10,000 on the card in the first year. It's certainly not the easiest bonus to hit, especially for an entry-level card, and it's probably honestly not really that worth it either, unless you have an extra $1,000 to spend you can really just put aside to put on this card and hit that entire bonus. Now, as you'd expect, the World Elite Mastercard variant has a slightly higher bonus of up to 70,000 VI Porter points. You get 20,000 points when you spend $5,000 on the card within the first 110 days, 20,000 more when you spend $9,000 on the card within the first 180 days, as well as a final 30,000 when you spend $18,000 on the card in that first year. Again, this bonus requires a ton of spend, $1,500 per month to get it, so I'm not entirely sure it's worth your time to go out of your way to spend and get this value. This is especially because VI Porter points aren't really worth as much as some other reward currencies, but we'll dive into that just a little bit later. Now let's get into the earn rates. The earn rates are how much you get for every dollar you spend on the card on your everyday spend. For that base Porter Mastercard, you get 2 points for each dollar you spend on Porter Airlines, up to a maximum of $10,000 to spend. You get 1 point per dollar spent on groceries and dining, up to $5,000 per year, 1 point per dollar spent on gas and transport, up to $3,000 to spend per year, as well as 1 point per dollar spent on hotel bookings, again with that $3,000 cap. For all other spend outside of these categories and above that cap, you earn 0.5 Porter points per dollar spent. These earn rates are also a little bit low compared to what you see in other cards in the segment, especially on that grocery and dining segment where you'd only have a cap of $3,000. I'd say most people were spending more than that over a course of an entire year, which means you'd be getting that base earn rate on the rest of your spend, which is again not super ideal. What's also not ideal is the fact that this card costs $89 per year and its earn rate is a bit more in line with a no-fee card, which is not really something you'd want to compare it to. Now the World Elite card of course has better earn rates to really reflect it being a more premium card, but again, it's something that would really knock your socks off. You earn 3 points per dollar spent at Porter, up to $20,000 to spend, which is a much higher cap, 2 points per dollar on up to $5,000 of gas and transport, as well as 2 points per dollar on hotel purchases. Everything else will get you 1 point per dollar, which is not a terrible base earn rate for this card. It's not terrible because it's more in line with what you're going to see on other premium MasterCards, and this card is certainly a premium card with a $200 annual fee. It's certainly not class leading. I'd say the core tier Aeroplan cards have stronger earn rates and a lower annual fee, but it's kind of more in line with what you see on the RBC WestJet World Elite Mastercard. Since the bonus and earn rates on this card aren't exactly stellar, we're relegated to take a look at the perks to see if they can really make up for it. One thing that might make up for it is the fact that you get VI Porter Avid Traveler status just for holding that base tier card. First, you get 6 points per dollar spent on Porter Airlines. Note that this applies to the base fare and any additional ancillaries, not anything like the government taxes and fees, unfortunately. There's also a host of airport priority services, like a separate queue for check-in, security, as well as priority boarding. This gives you a few more minutes to really settle down before your flight and make the entire travel experience a bit more enjoyable. Another last benefit that may be worth mentioning here is you get priority reaccommodation in case there's any cancellations or delays. As Porter has a smaller fleet, it's harder to really get reaccommodated as quickly compared to flying with Air Canada or WestJet, for example. Companion vouchers are something that's pretty common on other co-branded MasterCards, but Porter decided to go a little bit off script here. Instead of giving you a pure companion voucher, they instead give you a coupon worth 35% off the base fare for yourself and 3 other travel companions on the same reservation. This comes when you spend $6,000 on the card in that first year, although it is an annual companion voucher, but you'll get it when you spend $25,000 on the card every single year, which might not really be worth spending for. As with everything else in this video, the Worldly just cranks it a little bit further up. It gives you avid venture traveler status instead of just the passport that comes on the base tier Mastercard. You get complimentary seat selection, something Porter does charge for, from rows 8 backwards, which may actually be worth quite a little bit if you do fly Porter a lot. Another thing that may be worth quite a bit with this level of status is a free carry-on and check bag for yourself and 8 other travel companions when you're on the same reservation. As Porter flights, at least on the base level, don't come with anything other than a personal item. This again may be worth looking into if you're flying Porter quite a lot, as you'll be able to make the annual fee up pretty quickly. You also get a real companion voucher with this card when you spend $9,000 on it in the first year. This gives you 100% off the base fare for any flight for a travel companion if you're booked on the same reservation. In subsequent years, you'd have to spend $50,000 on the card to get it, which again, I don't think is super worth it because on other worldwide companion vouchers, for example, with Air Canada, you just need to spend $25,000 on the card to get the voucher. For WestJet, it's a perk they include on their $120 Worldly Mastercard. And although it does cost you a little bit more at $199 for the companion voucher, you do still get much better value if you're flying further away, as WestJet's route network is significantly more wide. If you're a high roller spending a lot of money on your credit card and you want the perks on Porter, but you aren't flying Porter that much, you can fast track your way to more status by just spending more on this card. You get $1 in qualifying spend for the next level of status for every $25 spent on the card. Unfortunately, with this card, you already hold venture status, so to get to the next level of status, you'd have to spend $150,000 on the card in the year, which I'm not entirely sure would be worth it. The next tier up is $250,000 to spend on this card every single year.
What?
Now, how much are these points worth and what can you do with them? Before I tell you what you can do with the points, if you are enjoying this video thus far, I would really urge you to hit like and subscribe, as we do have a lot more content coming out in much more frequent intervals in the coming weeks. We did go a little bit more conservative here, valuing them at about 1 cent per point, as the economy redemptions might actually be pretty decent sometimes, but they're really weighed down by a lot of those Porter Reserve offers, which is pretty much just their premium economy or their business class, which have much lower redemption values as the cash costs aren't that high. Diving into that a little bit more, another reason why you might see cents per point being a little bit weaker is because the cash values on a lot of these flights are pretty reasonable. You can get transborder flights on some of their longer routes to LA and SF for just about $300 round trip on some days, while the points values just don't end up keeping up. To compare with a few other reward currencies, we value Aeroplan points at about 1.8 cents per point, as well as WestJet dollars at about 1 cent per point. If we're now talking about transferable points currencies like RBC Avion or American Express membership reserve points, we value those at 1.8 and 2 cents per point respectively. You can use these points to fly any Porter flight across their entire route network on their Dash 8s as well as their ever-expanding E2 fleet. In theory, you can get some pretty stellar redemptions here. The lowest rates we found out of Toronto were about 8,000 points when you're flying over to Edmonton, plus some taxes and fees, as well as 7,000 points when flying to SF, as well as Miami. Shorter haul destinations were about 5,000 points on the lower end, which were again pretty stellar redemptions. Now you notice how I said in theory though? That's because these redemptions are dynamic and they're tied to the cash price of the flight. So as the cash price rises, the points price usually does as well. In practice, it was actually pretty challenging to find some of those top end rates. For example, Toronto to Edmonton costs about 27,000 points, which is a more miserable 0.85 cents per point, not exactly that 1 cent per point clip we're really aiming for. On occasion though, this does work on the other end, as the cash price does rise dramatically, but the points price doesn't always really keep up. This is when you can find redemption options to places like SF for about 10,500 points and about $100 in taxes and fees, getting you a stellar 1.5 cents per point, which is 50% off the clip we're really aiming for. In order to really maximize your value here, you basically just need to hold on to a bunch of VI Porter points and just know when to use them. Cash may end up being better value more often than not, so you're just left holding a bunch of points, which is why we can't exactly recommend this strategy to a lot of people. Redemption values, like other currencies, do depreciate over time, and something that costs 10,000 points today might end up costing 12, 15, or 20,000 points tomorrow. So with that, I'm going to answer a question that I didn't really even ask in the intro, but it's something I think is important to think about. Is this the best co-branded card in Canada? And the answer is probably not. I'd say if you qualify, it might still be worth getting the card for the first year, especially that Worldly Mastercard, because you do get that first free check bag and carry-on, which is something Porter doesn't really bundle in. With that first year being free, you can pretty much just take full advantage of this, fly a bunch of Porter flights, and get max value here. In subsequent years, you might have to really do the calculation again. For us, we kind of value check bags about $40 on a Porter flight, and carry-on bags at about $25 per Porter flight. You'd have to fly 5 flights with Porter to break even on that check bag. So basically those $200 divided those 5 check bags, which would give you $40, which would make you break even. Or for that carry-on, you'd have to fly 4 round trips or 8 flights, over the course of a year, which again might not be super unrealistic. I'd say for most people though, I'd probably recommend going for an Aeroplan or WestJet card just because their route networks are so much wider and you can do much more with a lot of the points you do end up earning. For even more flexibility, I'd potentially recommend going for some of those transferable points currencies cards. For example, the RBC Avion cards, the Amex MR cards, like the Cobalt or the Gold. These cards have stronger earn rates, lower or pretty similar annual fees, and overall end up being a much better package because their route networks are so much wider and what you can do with your points is so much more vast. You can pretty much go anywhere on the world you want, which is something you can't really say the same about Portal. On that note, let's wrap up today's video. Apologies once again for the big gaps between a lot of these videos. We are definitely getting on the horse a little bit more and you'll be seeing some more consistent uploads in the coming months. If you did enjoy this video, please hit like, and if you want more content like this delivered straight to your sub box, hit subscribe. Also do let us know down in the comments below if you will be getting one of these credit cards. With that, we'll see you in 2 weeks when we're going to talk about the changes that came to the Aeroplan program and what you can do now. See you in the next one. Take care.